BF Day proudly presents Mr. M's Math Class.
Hey guys, and welcome to episode 4 of Mr. M's Math Class. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you so much for sending your work. It was really great seeing all of your shoes and all of your equations that you created in connection with your shoes. I also wanted to give a special shout out to our first non-mini middle school participant, Abner. Thank you. Welcome to Mr. M's Math Class. I'm going to go over the agenda real quick. Number 1, and we're going to look at some pictures looking at some students looking at episode 3 and also doing the exploration. So if you send a picture of yourself with your shoes, I'm going to show that in that first little part. 2, we have our new estimation 180 question. This one was provided by our 5th grader, Juliet. 3, we're going to look at the exploration from episode 3. I'm not going to show you each other's work this episode. So I'll explain that a little bit later. 4, I'm going to introduce the new math exploration. 5, I'm going to introduce the new coloring mural and also the new batch of Ken-Kens. And then 6, we'll have a goodbye message. So first off, here is some of you looking at the episode and also some of you who sent pictures of your shoes. So I hope you enjoy. Again, thank you for sending those photos, and it's always great to see all of you. So again, parents, if you want to snap a picture of your kiddo watching episode 4, go ahead and send it to me, and hopefully it'll be in the next episode. Next up, we have our new estimation 180 question. Again, this was provided by 5th grader Juliet. Her question is, how many total Lego are in the 3 combined Harry Potter sets? All right, so we are going to start analyzing the data that all of you sent me from episode 3 in connection to our shoes, to our pairs of shoes. And so what I'm going to do to help us make some observations is create a line plot. And I'm going to do this in this whiteboard. And line plots are used by mathematicians to notice any irregularities, any patterns, anything interesting that's worth noting that might be worth looking at. And so any good line plot has a title. And so the title should be specific to what the data is showing. And so this is going to be shoes, pairs of shoes from Exploration 3. So pairs of shoes. So very specific to what the information is about. And how you create your line plot is there's a straight line. It goes from one end of your piece of paper, and in this case, this is a whiteboard, all the way to the end. And you know where to start by thinking about what is your lowest data points, or the minimum. And our minimum was 4 pairs of shoes. So one of you had just 4 pairs of shoes, and so then that is our minimum. And then our maximum, or the most, the one of you that had the most pairs of shoes was 63. And so that's our range of our line plot. It starts at 4, ends at 63. And so everybody in our group fell in that range, somewhere between 4 and 63. So that's a range of 59 numbers in between 4 and 63. So 63, to be honest, is a bit of an outlier. Nobody was really close to that number. This was not in relation to everything else. It was kind of like on its own. And the next closest number to 63 was actually 20, and that was me, my pairs of shoes, and because I am part of this group. And so I'm going to go from 4 and then fill into 20. All right, so we have our line plot almost done. We also have to have a subtitle in the bottom that says what these actual numbers are. So in the bottom, these are actually pairs of shoes. So title on top, and then this subtitle tells us what these numbers and the number line represent. So I'm going to go one by one. I'm not going to say names. I'm just going to say the number, and I'm going to put an X on top of that number to mark that one student had that many pairs of shoes. All right, so I'm going to bring that a little closer. And if you want to pause and then make some observations, jot some down so that you kind of get a chance to see that. So here is all of our information. All right, so if I was to create a equation of kind of all of our shoes to find out how many total shoes we had, I would start off by each number, and I might multiply that many of that pair of shoes. So for example, I might start with 4 plus 5 times 2 plus 6 times 4 plus 7 times 2. So I'm going to write down that equation in the bottom. So here is the equation. Now I wrote an equal sign, but I need something here. So I'm going to use something called a variable to represent the total number of shoes, of pairs of shoes, since I don't know that yet. So I'm going to let you try to figure that out, and I'm going to reveal the answer in a little bit. All right, so before I reveal how many pairs of shoes we had, I wanted to share a little bit of the different estimates that you had. So we ranged from, some of you thought there would only be 55 pairs of shoes. Some of you thought that there would be upwards of 450 pairs of shoes, 435, 583. But if you calculated this, you should have gotten 362 and a half pairs of shoes, which was our answer. And second closest to the answer was Toby with his estimate of 400. And Ariel and Elise both tied because they both estimated 333 pairs of shoes. And of course, if we were to multiply 362 and a half times 2, we would end up with 725 individual shoes. That's a lot of shoes. So thanks for that exploration. That was really fun. And up next is our next math exploration, exploration number 4. All right, so for math exploration number 4, what you and your family are going to do is pick a board game that has some sort of math in it. And this can be any math game. It doesn't have to be specifically math game. I have actually brought some examples for you to see. So one is Dominoes, and Dominoes has a lot of math in it. We've been playing it at my house a couple days this last week. But this is a great game. You can also play Tiny Polka Dot if you have that game. Rumi Cube is a great math game, and one that maybe not be so clear is Scrabble. There's actually some math in this as well, and obviously it doesn't have to be any of these board games. If you can think of another board game that you have at home that you think has some math in it, go ahead and play that game. And what you're going to do while you're playing this game is look at something that is really important. And we've talked about this in art class a lot. And these are the math practices. And in the email today that I'm going to send home, you have a sheet that looks like this that actually has all 8 math practices on here. And this is the language of the actual practice. And here's some student-friendly language. So really quickly, I can try many times to understand and solve a math problem. I can think about the math problem in my head first. I can make a plan called a strategy to solve the problem and discuss other student strategies too. I can use math symbols and numbers to solve the problem. I can use math tools, pictures, drawings, and objects to solve the problem. I can check to see if my strategy and calculations are correct. I can use what I already know about math to solve the problem, and I can use the strategy that I used to solve another math problem. And so while you're playing this game with your family, you'll be taking note of how these math practices are coming alive in this game. And you get your parents' help with that. And when you're done playing the game, you're going to write a short paragraph that's at least four sentences long, describing which math practices you saw in the game. How did you use them in the game? And at the end, after you play the board game, after you've written that paragraph, what would be great is if you could take a picture of you and your family playing this game, and then take a picture of your paragraph, and then send that to me, and that is due on Tuesday, March 31st. That's next Tuesday, March 31st at noon. So you'll have this weekend, Monday and Tuesday, to play this game with your family. So I hope you have fun with that game, with it, whatever you choose. I'm actually excited to see what kind of games and what math you kind of see in the game. So I'm excited for that. All right, next up, we have our new coloring mural, and this week it is a Minecraft mural. And so I'm going to show you a picture of that right now. And there are a new batch of Kenkens in the email. I know that some of you finished them like a day after I sent them out, so there is a new batch of Kenkens for you as well. All right, that is the end of our episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. A couple of reminders for this episode is that the quarantine challenge question is due next Wednesday. I have gotten about 3 or 4 of you turned in your thoughts on that challenge question, and so you have until next Wednesday at noon. Again, if you get that question correct, you'll get to have a virtual lunch with me sometime in the future. So that we can talk your strategies, and maybe we can eat lunch together virtually. Also that next week, and I've been following this pattern of my episodes coming up, but it's going to be structured now. Next week we're going to send an email out from Mr. Olegario. He's going to lay out kind of what the week is going to look like. We're going to be a little bit more structured in our communication with you, and so there will be a new math episode every Tuesday and every Friday. And so that's going to be the structure moving forward with math. And so thank you so much again for joining us today. I really miss you guys so much, but it really helps to see all of your faces doing the math. And thank you for sending me your work and really engaging here. I do want to push those of you who are watching this video and not wanting to send your work. Be brave. If you really don't want me to show the work, that's fine. I still really want to see it. So if you don't want me to show it in the video, just say, here's my work, I want you to see it, but I don't want to show it to anybody. So if that's your worry, that's no problem, but I really do want to see your work. So parents, really push your kids to try to send that work to me, because I really want to see it. Thanks again, and here is the answer to Juliet's estimation question. All right, take care.